I come now to the fourth part of this upgrading postmodern war, which is the hidden army. And again, there's not a lot that's really new here. It's stuff that you've seen one way or another before. It's just that I'm putting it all together here now. As the war worsened in Iraq and the numbers of dead and wounded began to rise, it became less and less likely that Congress would agree to more boots on the ground, because it's very unpopular to say, okay, now we're going to have a draft. It's like nobody wanted to have a draft again. They were like, no, we want to have an all-volunteer army so we can say, you joined, it's on you, no, and as a result, we're not going to let anybody out. You're in, you stay in. As it was, the National Guard, which is, and this is something I haven't really talked about, the National Guard performs a particular role in the United States. Historically, the National Guard is there to do just that, to guard the nation. So you have a standing army of people in the United States whose job it is. They've been trained they've done training, and like the infantry, like the Marines, and so on. And then they're sent home instead of being put on army bases and sent around the world. They're sent home, and they're sort of seen as reservists. But the National Guard, which is not unlike the Coast Guard, sort of, its job is to stand there and wait. So you go on about your business, and once a month, usually once a month, you go out and you have an exercise. So for all the weekend, you're posted, and so you and your guard mates, basically everybody from your guard unit, gets together and you do a military exercise. So you're like, okay, and you're just sort of staying in trim, in fighting trim. That's the idea. If there should be an attack on the homeland, on the United States, or if there should be, and we're now seeing this from Oregon, right, in Portland, if there should be a local insurgency, you call it the National Guard. Right? And this is why this is always happening in disaster movies. They're like, well, call it the Guard. What they mean is they call it people who actually have other jobs. So you're a guards person, which is a job. I mean, it actually pays you a certain amount of money. Not a lot, but it pays you some. And you're also working as, you're working as an IT person, or you're working as less likely, but you're maybe working as a lawyer. It tends to be, again, remember, it's the working class that tend to take these jobs because they're hard up, they're broke, right, or they're having a hard time. Or somebody decides they want to go to school. You're like, okay, I want to send my kid to school so they don't have to do what I do. What am I going to do? Well, I'll rejoin the National Guard. And you may have both partners in the National Guard. This is very tough, and this happened, where you have whoever's in the household that's running the household, whether it's two guys or two gals or a guy and a gal, doesn't matter. But both people are in the National Guard. Well, what the Bush White House did was they activated the Guard. They were like, well, we can't draft new people. We're going to use the people we have. So this is a very unusual move. I certainly have never seen anything like it before. The standard wisdom was that you don't activate the Guard unless there's a serious homeland problem. Well, we had learned by this time that everything was going to be new with this bloody White House. So the National Guard's men and women were mobilized, and the Bush White House was like, "Yeah, we're going to take all those Guards people and we're going to send them. We're going to deploy them to Iraq and Afghanistan." So they sent whole Guard units. And these were all locals, right? So there's the National Guard from Michigan, and they'd activate unit, whatever it was, 325, and send it to Iraq. Well, suddenly, people who were running lives were in a war zone. So this is particularly difficult if you've got both parents, right? It's like now you've got, so mom and dad, or mom and mom, or dad and dad, or whatever it is, doesn't matter, both parents are now posted to Iraq. Who's going to take care of the kids? Well, if you're lucky, you've got grandparents living, or aunts or uncles who can take your kids in, because the military was like, yeah, we don't care. What we're going to do is, this time we'll send mom, and next time we'll send dad. Or no, we can't spare anybody. And it's like, this is what you signed up for. Too bad. You don't like it? Whatever. It's the military. See you never. So off you go. And what that meant, I mean, talk about the situation now where people are like, there's nothing to live on. And is, what is Congress thinking? They're like, they're going home to big houses and going, yeah, well, we've got good jobs. And other people are like, could you give us $600 for Christ's sakes? Jesus Christ, who's gonna live? Who can live on that? Are you kidding me? Anyway, okay, don't get started. oh, it's just so bad. It's inconceivable. Anyway, yeah, it's just so punitive. But anyway, so what you get is businesses in the area suddenly don't have half their employees because the National Guard is gone. You mobilize the whole Guard, the whole unit, and you send them all. And it empties out whole neighborhoods. So that means that Target doesn't have its manager anymore because they got mobilized. And the person working at the local Dell dealership or whatever, or doing IT for some big company, and half the IT department is gone, right? Because they're doing IT for the military. So this happens. Now this is hidden. It's hidden mostly from the Canadians because we're like, national what now? Because we don't have this. We have reservists. It's a little different. But these are the so-called weekend warriors who, as I say, put in this one weekend a month. So you've been in the Guard maybe 3 to 5 years, and you re-up, you rejoin, that is, for another hitch. And suddenly you get sent to war. Now somebody's got to run the household alone. So let's say you've got 3 kids at home. Dad stays home, mom goes. Now dad has to learn how to handle the kids unless he's been doing the child rearing, and go to work, and deal with the fact that the kids aren't sleeping because mom is away in a foreign country at war. And you're like, well, is she going to die? It's like, no, nothing's going to happen to mom, except until she dies. And then you're like, shit, mom got killed. Now what are we going to do, right? So in the meantime, it's true, as always, health benefits, education, base housing, you're getting paid another $30K. It can make a huge difference in the quality of your life. The result is that you lose the house. Well, if somebody gets killed or you have to get out, you come back. So if the person gets killed, well, that's it. You're off base. So let's say your partner gets killed and you're not a member of the National Guard. Well, if you were living in base housing, that is, you were living on a base somewhere, you're out of that. So now you've got to find rent money, and you've lost a parent. So 2 things, and you've lost the income. So now what are you going to do, right? Well, you join the Guard. What else are you going to do? So the solution to this, because the Bush White House not only lied about the reasons for going to war, as you know, but also lied about being prepared for it, which is what the hillbilly armor thing is just a little tiny piece of. And because the White House, specifically under Dick Cheney, who was a serious war criminal, basically causes the White House to pay more for this war than it has for any other war in the history of the United States, basically says, let's focus on, well, not the Guard. We don't really care. And so the Guard units are rotated into the country and rotated in and rotated in and rotated in until they're broken. And there is a series about this. There was a documentary series called, I think, Off to War. It's like a 10-hour series. And it follows one Guard unit. And men and women both. And the Guard units tend to be there are often a number of women in the Guard units because it's attractive looking in terms of, like, I want to have children. I don't want to just have a military career. I want to be able to have children as well. So I'm going to stay at home. I'm going to have kids, but I'm also going to serve. And so this seems to work. It looked appealing. And people just don't think there's going to be a war. It's like, well, actually, sooner or later, there is going to be a war. The United States has been at war in almost every decade. After World War II, actually, in almost every decade of the 20th century, the United States has either found a war or gone to war, one way or another. So you can just sort of bank on the fact that the United States is going to go to war. And if you're in the Guard, you're going to serve.